Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and tie my zonked out leech. It's something I've just been playing around with for a couple weeks now. Kind of started out as an idea of getting a wider leech. There's been plenty of other ideas around there for that, but just something I kind of came up with, and turns out after water testing it a couple times, seems like it's going to be a really good crayfish pattern, and might even be good for some carp and stuff too. So I started out with, this is a size 6 normal streamer hook, 4x long, whatever you can get a hold of, and then pretty small for the size cone head here. I like orange just for hot head leech patterns and stuff like that. And then I'm going to start with some .030 lead wire, and the weight on this is pretty important because we're going to be adding some foam to the back, and how that rabbit strip and stuff likes to cling on to moisture, or the air bubbles and stuff, and just helps it sink down to the bottom like a leech should. So what I'm going to do here is tag a little bit of super glue in there, and then slide this forward, just keeps it from spinning around. And then one way that I've kind of come up with is kind of jerry rigging it, so skip it if you want to, it's your fly. I'm going to pull this over and kind of bend it and shove it underneath the cone head, and this way this fly should tend to want to ride hook up like that without having to have those big chunky barbell eyes on there and get in the way of everything. And then all I'm going to do with that bit of lead is just kind of secure it down on top for now with my Uni 6.0. I'm just going to snip that out of there too. Just clean that up, and then like I said, this is a pretty heavy fly for its size, so I'm going to go ahead and get some 020 wire also, and just going to work this forward to get it out of my way. And then this just helps kind of balance out the fly and keeps it from, when it sits in the water, you don't want it completely sitting straight up. You want to give it some kind of way to lay somewhat flat, because if you have it sticking up, then it's only good for a crawfish. If it's sitting completely flat, it's only good for a leech. So you kind of want to split the difference there, and this way the back end is anchored, it's got a little bit more weight, and then the back end is going to be floated with just plain craft foam, and I'm just going to cut off about the width of the hook gape there, and you don't need too much, just a small strip will do you. And then all I'm going to do here is just kind of measure out where I want it. Just kind of split the difference. See, I'm kind of sitting like that, so I'm going to go ahead, poke it right through the bottom. And you might want to put on the Marabou before you do this, but I kind of like to do it this way, so all the weight of the Marabou and all that other stuff is underneath the foam, so hopefully that helps it right hook up also. Just kind of clean that up under there. Now I actually got the idea of this foam from Kelly Gallup's Bottoms Up, and that's a really awesome fly. If you haven't checked that out, you should look that up sometime. It's really cool. It uses foam popper bodies on the back of an articulated fly to kind of do the same thing that I'm trying to accomplish here anyways. But really cool fly. Alright, and then once we have this foam tied in just like that, I mean I wouldn't get too fussy with it. I mean it's just there to give you some float in the back. Help keep it a little bit more buoyant than just having the silicone legs and stuff would. Alright, and then since we're tying an olive version, I get a clump of olive Marabou. And normally I'd strip it off the side like you see a lot of people do, but this one seems pretty webby to begin with, so I'm not going to worry about that. And then you're just looking just like a normal woolly bugger body. You just want about the length of the body, but again, don't get too fussy with it. You can always break off what you don't need or just leave it. I mean, it's a leech. They're ugly things to begin with, so don't worry about it. Okay, and then tie that in. It's right on top of your foam. Right, now I'm going to bring that back. And you have this big step here, so I like to bring the Marabou back right to that step between the 030 and the 020 lead wire. Kind of help even that out. Doesn't really matter with the dubbing technique that we're going to be using, but I like to clean things up a little bit. And trim off the excess. Okay. And then this next step is kind of optional. I like to do it just because it does give it a little bit more of that crayfish look to it, you know. But what I'm going to be doing is adding some Sili legs, and you can use just about whatever color you want, but right here I've got this, I believe it was frog green or something like that. It's halfway decent color for this. I just fold it around my thread, bring it up on top, and tie it down. It's right on top of that Marabou also. This Marabou is just a touch long, so trim that down for now. And then I'm just going to go ahead and leave these long. I'm not going to trim them quite yet, but we'll trim them later on. It just helps me keep my material clip back here. Alright, now for the fun part. I just have a normal barred rabbit strip. Not the Magnum version. I figured out that Magnum just wraps around a little bit too much and you don't really get a lot of that dubbing coming through. And you could use Magnum if you wanted to. It really probably won't make too much of a difference, especially if you go any sizes larger than what I've been tying. But I do like the standard better. I think it just gives a bit better of a body to it. And then what I'm going to do, just kind of measure out where I want it, and I'm going to tie it in back here, but I want strips on either side so that can cover up the sides of the body, give it a little bit more of a continuous look to it, and just makes for a better looking fly, I think. You can wet these down and probably make it a bit easier, but I'm stubborn and I don't often do that with my zonkers. Alright, and then I'm going to trim this right now. zoom out a bit so you guys can see that. Let's see where I'm going to snip it. Probably about an inch, 3/4 of an inch to an inch back from where your Marabou is. Back there. Again, don't get too picky with it, but that's just where I like to do it. Dragonfly, you can do what you want with it and make it however long you think looks good, or make it short as you want. Yeah, I mean, I've even, when I first started, I didn't even have these going back that far. I mean, I pretty much just trimmed them off right at the tie-in point, and I mean, it's a fine look. It just adds a little bit more movement if you have them going back, and you know, also gives you a little bit more of that crayfish look to them. Okay, and then same thing. I'll zoom back in here for you. Okay, let's see if you can get that. Nope. There we go. So this side you might be able to see a little bit better, but all I'm going to do is spread these apart. And tie it down right in there. And you really only need, you know, 1 or 2 wraps. I mean, you're really going to be securing it down in front. And if these wraps in the back break, it's really not that big of a deal. I mean, if anything, it adds a little bit more movement to the fly. But this just makes it a little bit more sturdy and keeps everything from getting fouled up. Right, and then I'm going to trim back here just the same length as the other. Alright, and we're done with our zonker. And next, I'm going to go ahead and make a dubbing loop of this stuff here, the Kraken dubbing, GT all of it, and you can see down there the Fly Tires Dungeon. That's some great stuff, great prices, and you can stock up for 30-40 bucks and be out the door with more dubbing than you'll use in your entire life. Another tool, if you ever do dubbing loops, this is invaluable. I was using just a standard shepherd's crook for a long time, and it works fine. It gets the job done, and it's cheap, but really can't beat it. Okay, and then I do want to leave some space back behind the eye, just about a bead length, you know. See right there, about a bead length back. And this stuff is kind of hard to work with, but I figured out if you bring your twister straight back and kind of level out the loop there, it makes it a bit easier. You don't really need this loop too thick, but again, do it to suit yourself. I mean, it's going to be your fly. Just wrap this around, touching turns, and I do like to kind of stroke these vipers back and get them out of the way. because I mean it does add quite a bit to the fly if you have this really buggy dubbing, and especially for the carp side of things. I mean, I think they'd probably go pretty nuts for this stuff, but time will tell, I guess. Alright, once you have that all the way up there, just go ahead and lock that down. And then trim that out. And you can wait to do this till afterwards, but I just like to kind of comb this out now and get those sides picked out before you can't get to them anymore. I'm just using some Velcro on a pin for this. I mean, everybody's got their own way. I used a toothbrush for a while. That didn't work very well compared to Velcro, but it does get the job done. Okay, then once you get that picked out just a little bit, don't be fussy with it yet, but just kind of peel these fibers back from the side. And I'm going to take my rabbit strip here and just pull that along the side there. You can see that. And then just make sure all these legs and fibers and stuff are out of your way, and tie that down. And then same for the other side, just kind of pick it out. And pull your strip across. I made this one a little bit too short, but that's okay. We'll make it work. Tie that down. And if you do get any stray rubber legs in there, like I did, just kind of come in here and trim those out. It just makes the separation between the Simi seal and this Kraken dubbing a little bit more pronounced, but it's really not a bad thing. You can leave those in if you want. Okay, and then I'm just going to go ahead and clean this area up a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to do the Simi seal on the collar. That's just a completely optional step, but I like to do it. Adds a little bit more flash to the fly, and it's a little bit more of that, you know, air trapping movement kind of look, you know. So I'm going to be using DW Brown. As you can see, you got this from Fly Fish Food. Great selection over there if you haven't been over there yet. But I really like this DW Brown color. I mean, it's great for brown flies, green flies, just about anything. But it's got a lot of great colors in there, and it's one of my favorite colors of Simi seal. And then all I'm going to do is make another short dubbing loop here, and then bring that back to the back. And you can make this gap a little bit smaller. You can kind of control the size of your collar there, but I've been kind of liking it a little bit bigger lately. Just get a little bit more of that Simi seal in there, a little bit more of that flash. Strip this out, and same thing as the body. You don't need it too heavy. Just little dab will do ya. And you can even just dub this onto your thread like you normally would too if you want, but I think the dubbing loop just makes it just that little bit stronger and help make sure that this fly will last a while. Okay, and then I'm actually gonna pick this out while it's out. Just kind of help thin it down so I can fit more wraps on there. And I like to just kind of stroke these all one way. Doesn't really make a difference if you do that. I mean, they all twist up anyways, but okay. And then once you reach up to your cone, you can lock that off. Just 2 or 3 wraps is plenty, and then I like to kind of pull it back and get some more in there, just to make sure it's not going anywhere. Because if you've ever had a dubbing loop come back out on you, it's not a fun experience. Alright, and I haven't broken my thread so far, so far so good on that. Then all that's left to do, if I can find my whip finisher, there it is. It's just whip finish, and if you ever watched a Davey McPhail video, you've seen this trick, and it's something that I really like to do. I do it on a good majority of all my flies. Some of the bigger articulated patterns I don't really bother with it because I mean you're putting glue all over it, but I've got just some head cement here. I'm gonna brush that onto my thread. And I know you can't see my thread. I'm wearing a black shirt. That was probably not a good idea, but you get the idea. And then this just makes for a stronger head. It really gets the head cement down in there good. You know, because sometimes you can get head cement on your fly and it doesn't really seep in. And, you know, then you only have it on the last layer of thread, and that doesn't do good. So if you take to putting the head cement on your thread before you whip finish it, it really helps out a bit. Alright. And then just gonna get my Velcro here again. Pick out what I have in there. And just pick this out into the fly. Just kind of creates a nice veil over the rest of the fly, and it's a really good look, I think. I mean, this fly can be tied in all kinds of colors and all kinds of different variations. I mean, you could get rid of the cone head or put a gold one on or something like that, or make it strictly a crayfish fly, or make it strictly a leech fly. And there's also one guy on Instagram, he's even made a shrimp out of it. Alright, okay, all that's left to do is we're going to trim up these Sili legs. And I mean, you can just trim them straight across. I mean, that's what I would do. But just to give it a little bit more, I'm going to pick out the 2 that are right next to each other. And then don't want to stretch these out too much when you're trimming, else you'll end up with shorter than you think. Then just going to trim these short, probably just a touch past the tail, the Marabou tail anyways, and then trim these out about twice that long, and then that'll give you a good a good kind of crayfish antenna look. Alright, and that's pretty much all there is to it. You know, you can go back to, you know, doing different colors or different variations and stuff. I mean, this is going to be your fly. You can tie it in all different colors. This foam here doesn't really pop out that much, especially if you blend it in. This is just kind of a bright one, but you know, swims pretty well from what I can see. But give it a try. Should be good.